The go-home show for the 2023 SummerSlam took place on July the 31st, 2023. Well, I just said that. Anyway, Monday Night Raw was absolutely boring. Really boring. Oh my God. Nothing happened. The show. As usual, nothing happened. They didn't do anything exciting. They built up the match as well, I guess you could say. But ultimately, if you were interested in SummerSlam last week, they really didn't do anything to increase your interest this week. So, I mean, it is what it is. News and notes. Kevin Owens had an interview with the Toronto Sun where he talked about how much time he's got left in WWE. Now, to be quite honest, they, of course, poked that part out. There were some other things he talked about in here, such as being bummed out that he didn't get to wrestle on the Montreal Elimination Chamber card, considering it was his idea to hold the show there. And I've been thinking about that lately because he's not going to wrestle at SummerSlam either. And neither is Sami Zayn, and neither is several other wrestlers, including Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch. A match I thought was a shoo-in for SummerSlam apparently is not going to be on the card. So I don't understand what's going on here, but I thought that was interesting too, because I think that actually ties into what he's saying here about not hanging around for much longer. So let's read up a little bit of the lead up to the question. It says, with just a year and a half left on his current contract and having fulfilled all of those KO Mania moments, championship dreams, and bucket list achievements, Owen was asked what's left for him. He says, I really don't know. I used to say I don't see myself not being in the ring for another 5 to 10 years. And if I said it right now, I'd be lying, because over the last few months, I have to admit, I don't know if that's true anymore. I look at things and I don't know where I stand going beyond the next year and a half. I know I want to be involved in wrestling. I know I want to be involved in the WWE, and I know I have a place here. I just don't know where it is exactly. Maybe it's still in the ring. Maybe it's not. I don't know. So he says, I think for the next year and a half, my focus is just on enjoying everything as much as possible. There's not really a worry about winning a title or main eventing WrestleMania or any of that stuff anymore, which are the dreams that everybody has because I've been so blessed and I've gotten to do all of that. So I just want to have fun, and I want to give people fun times to remember me by. Whether this is the end for my wrestling, I don't know. I don't want to sound dramatic. I don't want to say this is a retirement speech or anything because I might still be wrestling for 10 years. I have no idea. My thought process right now is just to enjoy the next year and a half as much as I possibly can, because I don't know what's on the other side. That's really all I'm worrying about. Now, this guy just signed a contract, I think last year, right before the big match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Remember, we did a video where we talked about how people were losing their minds because they thought he was a shoo-in to go to AEW. Hell, even I thought he was a shoo-in to go to AEW. And it was not the case. So now he's talking about, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll retire. Maybe I'll still be wrestling. Maybe I'll be an agent. Maybe I'll be a producer. I don't know what's to happen in the next year and a half. My favorite is him not wrestling. I think that's a good idea. I definitely think he should consider retiring. Hey, you know what, Kevin Owens? You've done a great job in WWE. You've done phenomenal, boring everybody to death for the last 4 or 5 years. Take a break. Do it for yourself. Go. I think his kids are already grown. Damn. What's he go raise your kids? Go open a cheesecake factory or something. You know, go literally do anything else. We don't really need Kevin Owens anymore because, you know, the prize fighter, the passion that he had at first, and that stuff's gone. Now he's just a fat goof on TV every week. So if his aspirations are not to be the WWE champion and, you know, walk into WrestleMania with the title, then we don't really need this guy. We can push him to the side. Maybe use him as a punching bag for Braun Breaker or something like that, and then give him his walking papers, a pension or something. I don't like Kevin Owens. I know most people already know this, but I don't like the guy. He sucks. I'm not saying that he sucks all the time, but he sucks most of the time. And he's actually quite a terrible babyface. He can be an exceptional heel when he actually is a heel. But all the motor mouth squealing and stuff he does, I can't stand it. I'm not saying that he hasn't had good matches. He has. Not saying that he hasn't had good characterizations. He has. But I'm speaking specifically since the Roman Reigns feud, I have wanted nothing to do with Tugboat Owens. I know he's one of these indie darlings that these guys love so much, but for me, that's the reason why I'm kind of like, the guy never really learned how to work heel, He still thinks being a heel means you do moonsaults and sentines and stuff like that when, being a heel should be about ripping people's eyeballs out, especially when you have the stock and the build of Kevin Owens. He should be fish hooking, ripping people's eyeballs out, powerbombing on the ring apron, which is what he did when he was in NXT. Then he comes to WWE and wants to do swanton bombs as a heel. It's like, come on, man, get the hell out of here. But for all of you who might be, KO fans, I know you got to be hurt, you got to be in your feelings that your boy might not be around much longer. I think he'll be here, to be quite honest, because I think he's going to end up with the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens WrestleMania main event match that Triple H is probably going to book once he gets done with the Cody story. Speaking of Cody, his documentary is out. By the time this video is up, the review of the documentary should still be out. So I talked about it there. The Triple H comment about AEW being a secondary promotion, which is setting the internet ablaze, and people are very, very angry, trying to quote the Wembley numbers as AEW's not secondary. Look at what they're doing in Wembley. It's like, all right, well, what about the most recent Dynamite or the most recent Collision? It's like, okay, whatever. In any event, let's get into Raw, for Christ's sake. We started the show with Logan Paul and Ricochet. So Logan Paul says he's not here for the fans, he's here for Ricochet. And he attempted to introduce Ricochet to his fan base, his audience, which is nothing like these people here in Texas, in the wrestling fans. He wanted to show off Ricochet's athleticism, but Ricochet decided to make a spectacle of this whole thing. So he's going to beat Ricochet in the most viral match in WWE history. Later on, he ended up saying that Ricochet is one of the greatest, or was one of the greatest, until he showed up. Ricochet came out there, said that last week he was on Logan Paul's live stream. Says now he's in his head. So you can fool the people who follow you, but you can't fool Houston, aka the WWE universe. And that the match will indeed be box office, but he thinks that Logan Paul is a terrible human being, but respects his showmanship and his athleticism. Logan Paul offered a fist bump, which Ricochet took. Then Logan Paul looked over at Samantha Irvin and said, hey, ain't that your fiance? Says, don't get mad when I have your girl announce me as the winner. So then Ricochet punches Logan Paul in the face, and they fight. And they fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. And then all of a sudden, Logan Paul punches Ricochet out of the air and pretty much knocked him out. Logan Paul later on said he looked like a full-grown fetus, which is that was entertaining. Logan Paul is a giant standing next to Ricochet. I watched those two people on screen, and it just looked like a guy behind a counter in a gas station, and some basketball player walked in to buy, a 5-hour energy or something like that. Ricochet is just so tiny. He's a tiny, tiny man. Oh my God, what a tiny man. This match should be pretty good though. And Logan Paul is really good at, the character work, and he needs to work on, on his emotions and stuff like that, but they're doing a good job of just presenting him as being, kind of a dickhead. So it works out. And Ricochet got a great reaction here too, which was easy because Logan Paul has so much heat. It was fairly easy for him to get a really big reaction, but I wonder if it's going to be sustained. Like, when Ricochet still be over when this whole thing is done? We shall see. We had a lot of Imperium on this show. A lot of Imperium, which I'm not complaining about, just noting. So early, Gunther says that he doesn't live in the past. Everybody's talking about how Drew McIntyre looks invincible these days. But he said he was disappointed in Kaiser And Kaiser could have prevented all this if he'd have took care of Drew McIntyre before. And he doesn't even want to talk about Vinci. So he said that he's going to give Kaiser an opportunity to redeem himself by eliminating the, quote, barefoot meddling maggot, Matt Riddle, and then say he's going to handle Drew McIntyre himself. So Ludwig Kaiser wrestled Matt Riddle, and Ludwig Kaiser actually won the match clean. So he got redemption. It was an okay match, a little long, I think. I don't know why Matt Riddle is just taking so many L's lately. What's this about? Anyway, I mean, giving Kaiser redemption immediately, that's not storytelling. You had something here with this guy. I know you might not want to turn him babyface, but at least string out the redemption story. String it out. Give us, he gets disqualified, he loses in some other way, or Riddle cheats or whatever. And, give Kaiser a reason to be like, oh my God, what is going to happen? And then you could take it from there. But they gave him his redemption immediately because, matches. Later in the show, Imperium, they get in the face of Alpha Academy. So this was after Alpha Academy led Maxine Dupree to victory over Valhalla in a match that was not very good. And that Valhalla looked like she was covered in beaver and squirrel skins. I don't understand why she was barefoot and pale. It all looks like she just live off the land. I guess that's the point of the gimmick. But Jesus Christ, she looked like she smelled terrible. Maxine Dupree bust out a perfect plex without even trying to pin, which was okay, I guess. She did an absolutely awful worm, but that's a notoriously hard move to do. So I'm going to give her I'm going to cut her some bail on that one. And she, Sarah Logan, pulled out a flying body press. So this was, it was Maxine Dupree who did the flying body press. So the finish actually came from some type of suplex from Maxine Dupree, picked up Valhalla from the second rope, or was it the top rope, and dropped her backwards. Really interesting looking finisher, I think I may have seen it in a video game or something like that. So it was a solid finish. Maxine Dupree wins. Just burned Valhalla with the rest of them. This Vikings gimmick is not working. Make her put on some goddamn socks or some boots or something like that, and make her tan something. She needs to go to the Cora J. Braun Breaker School of Tanning, because those people come out looking like rotisserie chickens every week, and this broad come out looking like a goose. What is going on here? Why is she like this? And then why is she wearing beaver? Why is she covered in gopher skins? Is that what Vikings wore? They wore a gopher? They walk around in otter skin jackets? Like, what's going on here? Anyway, Imperium got in the face of the Viking Raiders. Not the Viking Raiders, the Alpha Academy. Gunther was disgusted that they were having so much fun, and then says that he called Otis a freak and said that Maxine Dupree speaks for Chad Gable. And then he was reminded that Chad Gable was an Olympian. And Gunther looked, mildly impressed. And then Kaiser says that Gable couldn't last 5 minutes with Gunther. Then Gunther kind of concurred and nodded. Then Gable accepted the 5-minute challenge, but says that his boys should stay behind. So this actually leads to something that was pretty good. The 5-minute challenge, Gunther versus Chad Gable. It's a very old school match for Gunther. He even busted out the old test of strength where these guys, I'm like, oh, he playing too much. And you bust out the test of strength. The match didn't actually kick in until about 4 minutes in, when Gunther decided he was going to try to choke Chad Gable out with a sleeper. And then Chad Gable fired up, the action kind of picked up a little bit. And he tried to powerbomb Chad Gable. Chad Gable hurricaned him over the top rope, and the time expired. So Chad Gable survived 5 minutes with Gunther. It was a very solid situation here where Gunther was playing around during the early part of the match and actually screwed himself. After Chad Gable was announced as the winner, Gunther got outside the ring and demanded that the match continue. And a disembodied voice that was probably the anonymous Raw general manager says, okay, the match is going to continue. And the match continued. So Chad Gable ended up hitting like some really crazy German suplex. I'm sorry, it was Gunther that landed the German suplex, where he basically just threw Chad Gable over his head. That was gnarly. Chaos Theory, which is one of Chad Gable's favorite moves, was actually countered a little bit. We missed Chad Gable's moonsault that actually took place during the commercial. And Gunther ends up winning with his very weak powerbomb, which I absolutely cannot stand. I absolutely cannot stand his shitty powerbomb. He hits people very, very hard with clotheslines and boots and chops. And then he gives you the most pussy powerbomb in the world. I cannot stand it. It makes no sense. Please do something else. I know it's safe, but come on. So Gunther then gets on top of the announce table, says that get used to him standing on this table and celebrating his success. Then he said that the fate of Drew McIntyre is the same as the fate of Chad Gable, and he's going to end him at SummerSlam. Now, the Chad Gable-Gunther match was pretty good. We could see the stealth push that Triple H is doing to Chad Gable and Alpha Academy is actually paying off. People are actually buying into the story here with Chad Gable is, the master teacher and all this kind of stuff. And I like the 5-minute challenge. We haven't done anything like that for a while. I didn't like that they continued it. I think Gunther should have just, took the L that he didn't beat Chad Gable in 5 minutes. And then the next week he maybe said, let's double it, make it 10. You can't last 10 minutes. And then maybe Gable lasts 10 minutes. And then Gunther is like, okay, 15. You definitely can't last 15. And then Chad Gable lasts 15 minutes. And then, keep escalating it to the point where it looks like Gunther can't beat Chad Gable at all. And then you do something. Like, I get in this situation, you wanted Gunther to win the match because he's the champion going into SummerSlam, so you definitely want him to win. But if you're going to do something where a babyface is challenged that he can't be in a beat the clock kind of situation, the babyface should win and put some egg on the heel's face, and then the heel should double down. And then, you don't do it all at once, because you defeat the point of Chad Gable's victory if he ends up losing anyway, because people are only going to remember that he lost. They're not going to remember that he lasted 5 minutes with Gunther. They're going to remember that he got powerbombed and pinned just like everybody else. So leave people with the memory that Chad Gable was great and that he stood his ground and that Gunther was wrong. Gable was tougher than he thought he was. Leave people with that story and that knowledge rather than this ridiculous having him lose thing. But I'm not surprised that they did that. They did an incredible vignette for Brock and Cody. Absolutely tremendous. WWE is still tops in the business when it comes to video packages. Brock Lesnar actually came out there tonight. He had a microphone in his hand, and I thought he was going to explain why he beat up Cody back in April. No such doing. Instead, he introduced himself and his accolades and said it's fight week. And he knows a little bit about championships and fight week. And he says that he gets paid to beat up people, so he's getting paid to beat up Cody. And Cody's going to get paid to get his ass whooped. And then he says that he wants Cody to come out and shake his hand. So Cody comes out and Cody shakes his hand. Then they talk off camera with Brock saying something to Cody. And then Cody kind of stood in his way and Brock bumped into him and then kind of shoved him by the shoulder out of the way. Then Cody hit the ropes, came through with a tope. The fight was on. Ended up going to Brock pretty quickly, with Brock hitting him with the steps a bunch of times, F5, and just left him laying there. Nothing spectacular when it comes to the physicality. They've been doing this for 3 or 4 months now. It's not that big of a deal. It might have been better if we just did the vignettes and then called it a day and saved the bumps for later. Or maybe have Brock explain why he jumped Cody in the first place, which is what I thought he was going to do when he started talking about his accolades, is, how he was a UFC champion, NCAA champion, yada, yada, yada. Cody's never done anything. Cody's nobody. Who's to say that he's next in line or something like that? But nope. Just nope. Oh, God. That sucks. But Cody and Brock should be fun. I will be there for it. So that'll be fun. Next, Tommaso Ciampa and Shinsuke Nakamura arguing about which one of them are going to win Slim Jim's Battle Royal. Neither one of them are going to win. They ended up having a match that nobody cared about. I mean, literally nobody gave a fuck. You probably could have farted and people would have heard it. You could have farted in the bleachers and they would have heard it in the ring, for Christ's sake. It was so quiet during this match. Shinsuke Nakamura wins by pulling the tights. Again, nobody cares. Very unfortunate. And this match was for momentum. The big momentum trophy. Because you go into a battle royal with momentum. That means you're going to win. No, neither one of them is going to win. This is a waste of everybody's time. I don't understand what they're doing here. Look, Ciampa is good. Nakamura is good. I can understand my black and gold NXT faithful are screaming at the screen. This would have been a main event in 2018. This would have been on a takeover show. It would have been so hot in the building. I wouldn't even be able to breathe. But on Monday Night Raw, people are looking at their phones, throwing popcorn at each other, all kinds of nonsense, ridiculous. Nobody could have cared less about Shinsuke Nakamura and Tommaso Ciampa right now. You couldn't find two guys who are probably less over at the moment. Is it their fault? No. I mean, they're not booked to do anything of note. So why should they be over? Why should anybody care? Judgment Day showed up, and they didn't cut their same promo at the beginning of Raw this time. This time they cut their same promo in about the middle of the show. They bragged about taking out Kevin Owens and saying Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins can't stop them. Nobody can stop them. Then Finn Balor says that Seth Rollins has been running around here acting insane, or what he thinks is insane. What is really insane is waking up every day, looking in the mirror, seeing the same scars in the same place, knowing that his career has been ruined for 7 years. That this Sunday, he's not just coming to win the title, he's coming to leave scars. And he wants people to remember that Finn Balor won the World Heavyweight title. So Rhea Ripley says that she took out Raquel Rodriguez, she took out Liv Morgan, they took out Kevin Owens, that nobody is there to fight them. Then Raquel marched down there to the ring. She got into a fight with Rhea. The boys just vacated. They didn't try to do anything to stop this or get in the way or nothing. So the boys vacated. Rhea ended up fighting Raquel on her own. She ended up chop blocking her in the knee. A bunch of stuff in the knee. After Rhea got thrown around a little bit, she got thrown into the ring post, thrown into the barricade. She ended up getting the advantage. And then the officials and everything came down there to protect Raquel as she was selling the knee. Backstage, Adam Pearce promised Raquel Rodriguez the first match for the title. As soon as she's well, she's getting a title shot. So at least we know that's on the horizon at the very least. Apparently Liv Morgan's injury is legit, so she's really going to be down for a while. Too bad. So Raquel is going to be on her own for a little while. And Rhea Ripley not defending her title at SummerSlam. I mean, she's just one of many people who are not defending their title at SummerSlam. I don't know what more to say. I guess because Triple H demands that every match is 15 minutes now, that they're going to start doing 6-match cards or 7-match cards. I think SummerSlam is a 7-match card. But that Battle Royal is so stupid. It's so dumb. It's epically dumb. Get that shit out of here. You got all these people who are not on the show who could be doing something. We'll be talking about one of them in a minute that definitely should have been on this show. And then you're going to just Battle Royal it. That's a pre-show. I know I said that already. Never mind. Let's move on. The Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey vignettes have been fantastic. These two things made me care so much about this feud that I stopped asking who the babyface and who the heel is. Because they're both heels, apparently. They're both heels, apparently. So when this thing started, Shayna Baszler turned on Ronda Rousey, which is a heel move. She choked Ronda Rousey out, even though she got cheered for it. Ronda then came out and was like, why? Why? And then Shayna Baszler told her why. And then Ronda turned heel, made fun of Shayna. And it seemed like that's the direction they were going in. And now they're doing the vignettes and they're telling the truth about each other. So from Ronda Rousey's perspective, I'm going to give you her entire perspective across the two vignettes. Ronda Rousey was working as a bartender when she saw Shayna Baszler in Strikeforce. And this, of course, tells the story that Shayna Baszler was in MMA before Ronda Rousey was. So Ronda Rousey gets into MMA. She brings Shayna Baszler in. She's a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. And Shayna Baszler is one of the contestants. So at this point, she's trying to utilize the idea that Shayna Baszler is kind of her a protege, kind of. Even though she started before her, she's kind of been molding Shayna Baszler's career. So at this point, Ronda Rousey says like she hooked up the 4 horsewomen, had them living in her house, gave them jobs to her sparring partners, and then she starts telling this parable in the second one about, a king and a pauper or something like that, and how, the king kept the pauper around because, he was a loyal friend. And then, the loyal friend started to expect, he started to become entitled. And once the entitlement happened, he actually turned on the king and stabbed him in the back. And that's how she feels about Shayna Baszler. That Shayna Baszler has turned her around and stabbed her in the back. And she has lost a good friend. And she was teary-eyed about this. Like, they both cried, which is very weird. So in Ronda Rousey's mind, she has always brought Shayna Baszler along. Yeah, even though Shayna Baszler did these things before her, she was better. She was a bigger star. And she was able to utilize that to bring Shayna Baszler along. So that's interesting seeing that from her perspective, is she's always been there to help Shayna Baszler. And Shayna Baszler has been there for her. They were best friends. She was there when Ronda really, really needed help. Shayna was like one of the few people who were there for her. She loved Shayna, essentially. Now, from Shayna's perspective, she says she didn't hate Ronda Rousey on The Ultimate Fighter. She never joined the I hate Ronda Rousey hate train when that happened. But she was there for Ronda Rousey's fight camps. She was there for every single one. Said that she had to live in Ronda Rousey's house and was broke all the time. And her job was to get beat up by Ronda Rousey. And, Ronda Rousey never came to any of her fight camps. Ronda never did anything for her. It was all about her helping Ronda. And then she says all of this felt like a setup for Ronda. She didn't say she was toiling in NXT, but essentially that, Ronda gets the big WrestleMania entrance and everything. And she's, toiling away in NXT. And she's tired of it. She later then says that Ronda Rousey having a relationship with Ronda Rousey is like being in a toxic friendship. That she had to work in her house and get beat up, be her sparring partners. And that Ronda only wanted to tag team up with her because she pissed everybody off and there was a target on her back. And she needed somebody to stand next to stand in front of her, really, to take the slings and the arrows. And she said she did all the things that she could do as a friend for Ronda Rousey. But Ronda never gave anything back. She only took. And now she's going to take something. She's going to take Ronda Rousey's reputation. Because Ronda has never been the baddest woman on the planet. Shayna Baszler is. And she says that, the most terrible thing is that outside of her husband and her parents, she was the first to hold Ronda's baby. And she says she loves that baby. That's her God baby. But that baby will never forgive her for what she's going to do to Ronda. Man, they laid it on thick. All right. If you didn't give a shit about this match, if you watched these two vignettes together, and I don't see how you couldn't care about this match. They took more story. And in these two vignettes, I don't know, it's probably about 4 minutes apiece, which is infinitely better than 2 fucking matches. All right. You could have did a match and would have wasted everybody's time. These vignettes were very well done. And to be quite honest, it actually lends more to the idea that Ronda is not wrestling after SummerSlam. That's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like to me. Now that I've heard that, and it feels like she's not going to wrestle anymore, like she's done. You have a vignette where both people are crying because what they're saying is real and they believe it, and it's emotional, and they're just telling, I hate to use this term, but it's apropos at this point, they're just telling their truth, their version of the truth. And their version of the truth is that, Shayna has felt used, and Ronda has felt like, hey, I did everything I could to help her. Why is she acting like this? But she has this sort of sense of, superiority over Shayna. Like, this is how it is supposed to be. I'm the star, you're the co-star. I do the thing, I help you come in, and that's that. You are there when I need you, and I appreciate you for that, but you're not the star. You're not the best. You're not the baddest. And Shayna's kind of like, no, I'm not like the Robin to your Batman. This is not how this works. I'm my own person. I did all of this stuff before you. I made these moves before you. I should be the star. It's time for me to break out of your shadow. And I think these promos, absolutely excellent. Some of the best stuff WWE has produced all year round. Outside of the ring, this stuff was great. I could have watched an entire documentary on this. Like this, if you'd have told the story of Ronda Rousey and put this in the middle there, I would have believed it. That's how good this stuff was, how well produced it was. It felt like they're literally going to fight. Now, they had their match is going to be MMA rules. They didn't say like specifically UFC. So I'm guessing unified mixed martial arts rules. So I guess, what we doing? We're scoring points now. We're doing rounds. What are we doing? Is it going to be submission or knockout only? How is this going to work? I don't know. And I don't think WWE knows either. Is there going to be a cage involved? Who knows, man? But it ought to be fun at least. Hopefully it looks like worked MMA, where it's probably going to be the two of them with like gloves and barefoot and shorts and stuff like that. And it could be fun. I'm actually looking forward to this now because these girls, they did the work. They told a story. The story is believable. You still get to make your own decision about who you are siding with. I do prefer a clear babyface and heel, but in this situation, because it's meant to be gray, because they're friends, and it's all about your interpretation about each friend's motivations and each friend how they perceived all of these events. So even though I prefer a clear-cut babyface and heel, I'll accept it on this because it was so good. Next, we got Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. So Becky Lynch comes out and she says that she's done all the things she can do, said all the things she can say, is now there's nothing left but to fight. She's earned her rematch with Trish Stratus. So Patricia, get out here and we're going to fight in Houston. So Trish Stratus comes out. Patricia Stratus, apparently, that's her government name, has come out and says that Becky Lynch will get her rematch, but nobody tells her when to fight, and she's not fighting in Houston. She's not going to do it. She's going to have to do it some other time. So at this point, the crowd is booing. She's like, are they saying thank you, Trish? And then she makes a joke about the Astros and that kind of stuff. Then Adam Pearce comes from the back and said that match will be happening, and it will happen right now. And he called for a referee. So with zero promotion, I'm thinking they're about to have Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus with zero promotion. They're not even going to mention it. So at that point, I figured the fix was in. They were probably going to do something slick. So the moment Becky Lynch tackles Trish Stratus, Zoe Stark gets in the ring as a disqualification. They have a lengthy fight scene where Becky Lynch fights both of them back and forth before Trish Stratus hits her in the guts with a chair. Now Trish is backstage with Adam Pearce, and they say, look, it was a match. You said she had a match. She got the match. The bell rang, but Zoe interfered. I lost by disqualification, but she got the match that she wanted. Adam Pearce then says that Trish Stratus' behavior has been unacceptable It's not. He will not accept it, and said that somewhere in the wilderness of Canada, Trish Stratus will fight Becky Lynch, and Zoe Stark will be banned from ringside. So, a match that seemed like it was going to be a shoe-in on SummerSlam is bumped 2 weeks out. So once again, much like the United States title match, they put all of this emphasis. Now, this has been going on for months. This Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch thing, it has been going on since April, maybe May, and they're not going to be on the pay-per-view? What's the point? What is the point? Why are we spending months building up matches to go on Raw? If you're going to... Why? The only response I could think of is maybe Trish Stratus is hurt. Maybe she really is not medically cleared and she can't go. Even if that was the case, you bump it to the next event. You just put it on the next pay-per-view event, whatever that is. You don't throw it away on fucking Raw. Like, I know some people just say, why can't the Raw TV show be watchable? You could put big matches on Raw. Raw is 3 hours. I guarantee you, if that match, even if it becomes a classic, it's a throwaway match on Raw because nobody's going to remember it. Nobody's going to give a shit. If it's on pay-per-view, at the very least, people will remember it. If it's on Raw, it's just one of the many matches that has happened on Raw. I'm sorry. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible booking. If Trish Stratus is not hurt, then you not putting them on this show is absolutely incompetent. Not putting them on SummerSlam is incompetent. When you throw a stupid battle royal on the show that literally nobody cares about, even if you want to have, look, unless The Rock is going to be in this battle royal, you don't need it to be at SummerSlam. You could do it on SmackDown, all right? And you could do it on the pre-show. You could do it in the middle of the show. You can even add Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch and then shorten it, make it 10 minutes instead of 30 or whatever you want to do. That match should be on pay-per-view just based off the names involved. And when you take into account the amount of effort and the amount of time that you have invested in this program, why wouldn't it make pay-per-view? The only thing I can think of is that Trish Stratus is hurt. That's the only thing I can think of. Because the Battle Royal came out of nowhere, and Trish and Becky was pulled out of nowhere. So my only guess is that Trish is injured. That's the only thing I can think of. And even then, I'm still saying you could have done something. You still could have done something. And then you could have spiced it up a little more. Even if you want to do it this way, why not make it a cage match? Why not make it something where, Zoe Stark is handcuffed to, some guy or something? Make it interesting. It just being a regular goddamn match with Zoe Stark banned from ringside. It's like, okay, so she's probably just going to bring in somebody else, which seems like it would make sense. Is that, Trish Stratus is just going to have a second student. Why not? I would bring in somebody else to be her partner or her friend and form a tag team with Zoe and this new person. I would just do that. Women's tag team titles, they don't exist apparently. And they also will not be defended on SummerSlam. Amazing how, Vince caught all this heat for not caring about the U.S. title, not caring about the tag team titles. And here it is, Triple H, months of no tag team titles, months of no United States title. The Intercontinental title is only being visible because it's Gunther. I bet you as soon as he loses it, it's going to disappear. Just like the tag team titles are only visible because of the Usos. But at the same time, though, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have wrestled the Judgment Day every goddamn week for 8 months. I don't know. It seemed like it. But I am very perturbed at the concept that Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch will not be on SummerSlam. Mainly because I wanted to see Trish Stratus in person. So it's a little selfish there. I got to be honest. But still, when you invest so much TV time into a story, you should invest that into your pay-per-view matches. not into, oh, we're just going to do it again on Raw. Like, not have to sit through another 3-hour show to see this. And it's not going to, especially considering these Raws are awful. Who the fuck wants to sit through a 3-hour Raw to see that? Like, this would have been a nice little sprinkle on the Sunday of a SummerSlam where you got, another bloodline fight, and you got Brock, and you got, Finn Balor and all those guys, and you could have put a nice little sprinkle on it with Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch. It would have been nice little reprieve. But now you're trying to make them the centerpiece of this thing, and sprinkles ain't the whole goddamn ice cream, like it's not the whole of the dessert. You're trying to make them the main event, and you're going to build an entire show around them, which you're not going to successfully do because you haven't successfully built an entire show around a main event yet. Yet. You haven't done that. At most you did, hey, we do a silly opening segment, we touch on it 2 or 3 times, and then the main event happens. It's too long and nobody cares. They did it again this week. Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest. Who gave a fuck about this match? This is another variation of the same match we've been watching for over a month. For Christ's sake. And guess what? Damian Priest tries to cash in the Money in the Bank, but Finn Balor wouldn't give it to him because he was really being selfish. He finally gives it to Damian Priest. Damian Priest goes over to the referee. The referee is stunned, or Damian Priest is like, I don't know. At which point, Seth Rollins, I guess, wakes up. They drop kick the briefcase into his face, which should have been an instant disqualification, but, rules are malleable and nothing matters. And Damian Priest, Mr. Money in the Bank, takes a pinfall. So, yay. The good guys win, and Judgment Day lose again. They talk about how they run SmackDown, they run Raw, they run NXT, and they have the main event, and they lose. This is dumb. We've been doing this for 6 months, it feels like. This is absolutely pointless. I didn't even watch this. I'm not even going to hold you up. I refuse to watch another tag team Judgment Day main event. I'm not watching it. I don't give a fuck who they wrestling. I am not watching it. I see people trying to be very gentle because they like Triple H. Like, oh, I just need Triple H to vary things up a little bit after SummerSlam. Because we've been doing this Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Judgment Day thing. We've been doing it for a long time. I would like for him to vary it up a little bit. Just a little, just to do something a little bit different, just to spice it up. And I'm like, fuck you. Stop running these matches. I'm tired of watching these same fucking matches. Please stop doing that. I know Vince had 100 rematches too. But you can't blame it on Vince now. He doesn't have a spine anymore, apparently. They took his spine out and replaced it with like an extension cord or something, or like one of those doodads that will allow his head to, float in a jar of vinegar for like the rest of his life, like a head from Futurama. Apparently, he just got like spine surgery, and he doesn't have a spine anymore. Like they took it out and put it back in because it was backwards or something like that. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but you can't blame this on him. Triple H sucks at this stuff, even if it's not him writing it, even if you want to blame Bruce also sucks at this stuff. So you want to blame Michael Hayes sucks at this stuff. If it's some other guy, that guy sucks at this stuff. Raw has been dreadful, bro. It's been the same shit over and over and over again. You literally could not watch Raw for like a month and would not have missed a goddamn thing. Nothing. And not just because you could catch up on YouTube. I mean because there is no incentive for you to watch this show live. Not one. Not one. There's never going to be a title switch. Nobody's ever going to turn on anybody. Nobody's ever going to make their debut. Nobody's ever going to make a return. People don't really turn heel. Nothing fucking happens on this show. Nothing happens. It's just the same fucking shit every single week. And we're dumbasses sitting here watching it. So I chose to not watch this match. I saw the end, but I really wasn't paying attention to anything else in this match. So there might be nooks and crannies of the match that I missed. I don't care. And you can say, oh, you're not doing your job, Mongo. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You know, just like I treat AEW where certain things I just don't want to see, I'm burnt on watching Seth Rollins wrestle Judgment Day. After he wrestles Finn Balor, I don't even want them in the same building anymore at this point. I don't win, lose, or draw. This shit needs to end. All right? The bottom line is you have to be able to spice up this show. It's been the same people on this show for months. You know, you win some, you lose some. You win some, you lose some. Nobody gets anywhere with that. You know, look at Ciampa, for Christ's sake. Win some, lose some. Win some, lose some. How's he going to get any momentum to do anything? You know, for fuck's sake, just nothing's happening. Nothing's happening on these shows. It literally doesn't make any sense. It's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. The lack of promotion of people who are supposed to be stars. You don't promote anything that they're doing. You don't promote anybody in particular, really. You know, same fight scenes over and over again. Oh, Brock beat up Cody. Like, oh, he beat up Cody last week. What the fuck? Why is he beating up Cody? Well, he's Brock. Brock doing what Brock do. Oh, okay. Well, that's reason enough, I guess. But for fuck's sake, come on. You know, cut me some slack here. But at the very least, the Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey vignettes was fantastic. And I highly suggest you seek them out on YouTube and watch them. You know, those are very good. The best thing on the show. Gunther and Chad Gable was also quite good. Again, I probably wouldn't have had Gunther pin him, but it is what it is. So that was it. That was probably the best stuff about Raw. Couldn't tell you anything else that was great. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.